Vlogging or documenting yourself, be it your daily life or your travels, has become more common with today's advancements in smartphones. But if you're watching this, you want something more powerful, you want something stronger, but you don't want to lug around a huge camera with you because that kind of beats the purpose, you'll just use your smartphone. So what you need is something small, and you want something that won't cost a lot but have a great image. So let me tell you about the Micro Four Thirds system, which is small and light and also has a huge market for it because it has been here for a while, which means that the used market is saturated and you can get some awesome deals. As for me, I've been a Micro Four Thirds shooter for over a year, having a dedicated photography camera and a dedicated video camera because I don't want to confuse the two and it makes me lighter and faster on my feet. To get the best and awesome deal for your vlogging kit, let's start of course with the camera. In the Micro Four Thirds world, you'll be looking mostly at Olympus or Panasonic because most of them have some form of autofocus. I'm using mostly Panasonic cameras, so I'm not familiar with the Olympus world. If you do know good cameras, please write it down in the comments and I'll pin it so you can help the entire community. Thank you. Micro Four Thirds cameras, they usually would have weather sealing, which most cameras in this budget range don't have. In-body image stabilization, which Panasonic actually invented. It was the first company to add it in a camera. Flip screens, which are great because you wanna vlog yourself, you wanna see yourself in the camera. And 10-bit, if you want to future-proof your camera, use it for more than just filming yourself, maybe short films. I'm using the GH5, which has 10-bit color because I'm also creating short films. So it's not the lightest camera out there, but it also has weather sealing and in-body image stabilization. For cheaper alternatives, you have the G9, which was marketed as a photography camera but later in a firmware update had 10-bit color added to it. Smaller and lighter cameras can be the G90, the G85, and if you want to go even super light is the G100, but it doesn't have weather sealing or in-body image stabilization. I've put all the links here, you can scan the QR codes or watch them down in the description below. As for the cameras themselves, you would also want to pair a great lens for them, but I'll save that for the end. And for the autofocus, Olympus, if you read the comment down below, if anybody bothered commenting, have phase detect autofocus, which is superb, but Panasonic has just caught up with the G9 Mark II, but it's new, so I can't recommend it. The used market doesn't exist for it yet. Here's a video here, you can scan the QR code on all video I've made how you can focus with a Micro Four Thirds camera, and it's super easy. You don't really need autofocus for that. If you're enjoying the video so far, give it a like because it signals to me that it's a good video and that's how I improve and create better content here on the channel. The next thing is stepping a bit out of the Micro Four Thirds world because you need to put your camera somewhere. Usually you might hold it to vlog yourself, but there's a limit to how you can do it and sometimes you want creative angles. I'll recommend the Joby tripod, which is tried and true by many people, and although some of them reported of legs breaking or missing, I haven't had any issues with mine. Why I recommend it is it's flexible and it's proved itself with a lot of people, especially Casey Neistat. I wouldn't recommend cheap brands because usually they come at a cost of just breaking fast. I'll also recommend adding a plate to it. I'm using an Arca Swiss plate for all of my gear, and if you put the plate just right enough, the camera will sit still, or you can just get a bottom plate, but that just costs a bit more. 50% of your video is sound, and people don't just say it. I have videos that really look like crap, but they sound okay and they're really successful here on YouTube, so don't skip out on that. You can start with using the audio of your camera, but it's usually not that good and it picks up a lot of noise. There are two options for you to go here. The first one is the one that costs just a bit more and it makes your camera actually lighter and beats the purpose of having it close to you. You can actually put it at a distance on your tripod and stand at like, I don't know, 3 meters away and talk to it. That's wireless audio systems. They usually would cost you a lot more than just a microphone, we'll get that in a second, but they're light and they actually allow you to stand wherever you want in comparison to your camera. I've been using SmallRig W60 for a while now and they're really comfortable. You just place it here and you forget about it. Usually the battery lasts for a long while. If you want something in between, you can actually buy the Zoom H1N, which is kind of a hack because it's wireless, but it's not wireless because you don't actually record it to your camera, but you can actually sync it later. Software like DaVinci Resolve can sync the audio for you quite easily. They compared the audio of the camera to the audio of the Zoom H1N and you have a good one. You can just buy a Windma for it and it looks just like any other microphone. I've used it for a while as well, but it's weird to actually hold a microphone to your mouth and you need to remember to carry it in your pocket. The next one, and the one that I actually like less, is a shotgun microphone. I've used a shotgun microphone when I started. I'm Lenovo VXR10, but it also picks a lot of noise, and I don't really like these microphones because they actually compel you to be at a certain distance from the camera, and usually the cheap ones don't sound that good, even though a lot of people recommend them. So if you want a shotgun microphone, I recommend actually wasting a bit good of money and getting the Rode Video Go 2, which can actually also be as a microphone for your computer, just as this one. Or if you want to actually remove all the shock mounts, which I don't really like, I don't think they look good, you can go with the MKE 400 or 200 by Sennheiser. These are good microphones that I haven't tested, but I really want to buy the 400, maybe one day. And now we're back to the Micro Four Thirds world. Lenses. There are two types of lenses. The first one is the zoom lenses. It has a certain focal point to another focal point, from a wider to a longer one, or a prime lens which has a fixed focal point. I would recommend the prime lens just because they're usually faster for a cheaper price. As for zoom lenses, you can get some cheap, but the aperture won't be as wide, and that would mean that it won't be that good at a low light, and then you'll have to crank up the ISO and you'll have a lot of noise. Zoom lenses usually are heavier. So I've been using prime lenses for my vlogging because it also makes life less complex. You have a fixed focal point, you just aim it at a certain angle that you're used to, and that's it, you're done. I've been using the 14mm f2.5, which is ridiculously cheap, secondhand, and it's been filming me this entire video. But do note it's not weather sealed, and the other alternatives are not weather sealed. I'll put down in the description below weather sealed lenses, but it also means that it's cheaper. So make sure that if you're in the rain with this lens, just remember it's not weather sealed. But it is ridiculously small, and it just looks like my GH5 doesn't have a lens. Other alternatives that cost a bit more are the 12mm by Olympus or the 9mm by Panasonic. Again, they cost a little bit more, so I wouldn't recommend them, but the 14mm is a great start, and it's pretty wide for you to vlog. As you see in this shot, it's pretty wide and I'm pretty close to the lens. And if you wanna know why I bought this specific lens and I switched it from my 12 to 200, which I used for over a year in my YouTube channel, you can watch this video here, and I'll see you next week. Bye!